Hello everyone, welcome to our channel, and this is our second video in Online Chess Olympiad series. Well, today we are going to look at the game played between Nihal Sarin and Asadil Vugar. Well, in this game Nihal showed a lot of positional understanding. He used each and every small advantage which he got from the position. As they say, like Stanis used to say, like in order to win the game you don't need to checkmate your opponent always. You can just build upon your small advantages or small positional aspects in your game, and then in the end you will be winning the game. So that's what happened in this game. So without further delay, let's get started with the game. But before we go further, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you are new here. And I have already analyzed one of the game by the beast Adiban. Do check it out, that video also. I have given the link in the description as well as in the I section above. So let's begin. In this game, Nihal was white. He played knight f3. His opponent Asadil Vugar started with knight f6, c4, and then e6, g3. Well, after this, d5 is played. Bishop g2, d captures c4. This is a kind of a Catalan opening setup is there. Queen a4 check, bishop d7, queen captures on c4, and now c5. Well, by playing c5, black has stopped this d4 breakthrough, and means d4 move by which white was going to control the center, but no longer is not possible on the board. But okay, Nihal says like I'm going to centralize my piece with knight to e5. Well, this knight is centralized here. Of course, black can always think about playing knight c6, but in this position if it goes directly with knight c6, it's a possibility, but then you need to be aware of how to play with this position where your pawn structure will be crippled. Okay, so that's the reason why first he played queen c8. One reason is like he's supporting the pawn on b7, which was being attacked by the bishop. Another thing is like knight c6 is also a possibility, which eventually he played in the game. Now queen d3 was played, putting some pressure on d7 bishop. Knight c6 came, he captured the bishop, because instead of capturing the knight, bishop is much more powerful, you can say. Here knight captures d7, knight c3, developing a piece, bishop e7. Both sides are developing their pieces and completing their development by castling here. Queen b5 was played. Well, he needs to do something, right? And just to let you know, this is not something completely new to the players. This opening has already been played before also. The positions are also already been played. So of course Nihal was prepared here, and he captured on c6, opponent captured bc6, and then queen b3, sorry, queen b3 was played over here, c4, queen to c2, and now rook came to d8 square. Well, as we know this thing, that this position looks much more like comfortable for black, because his pieces are active. The bishop is active, knight is active, rook is also active, whereas white's pieces are not in the game right now. So if you say like if anybody is better in this situation, of course this is black. But hold on, Nihal understands this thing, and he tried to get some spicy position, you can say. So he played b3. He's trying to be tricky now. If you capture here, of course then ab3 will be played, rook will be opened up. Okay, this rook will be opened up in this file. Queen is already having this thing. This bishop can come to b2 square, and it can attack to the pawn on g7. So some tactics, some ideas will be there. Okay, but opponent did not go for it. Opponent played queen to a6. He captured on c4. Okay, and of course black is still having development advantage. Nihal says like okay, d3, I will try to get smallest of advantages in the position, whatever he can accumulate. So he kept on pushing his pawns forward, gaining some space. a4 is played, c5, a5, dislodging this knight from b6 square. Knight came to the d5, a very good square for the knight. There are two options like for you. One is like you can capture the knight, which is a viable option, but in that case this pawn will come, and black's pawns will be kind of very well connected here. Although they are hanging, but they are backed up by the two rooks, and it should be safe position. Another option was to play knight e4 and just attack the pawn on c5. Okay, so here he played knight b4, attacking the queen. Queen needs to move. Queen c3 was played. Knight d5, again he attacked. Queen c4, offering the queen exchanges, and well, queens are exchanged. Knight b4 is played. Bishop to e3. Well, this bishop could have gone to f4 also, but bishop e3 is interesting because you are keeping an eye on the pawn on c5 square. Okay, knight c2, then rook to b1 was played. Well, knight e3 is definitely one of the interesting options in this position, but white's all the dangers are already gone. Okay, and white is kind of comfortable in this position, doesn't have any kind of worry. This rook is controlling the b file, and okay, we have this file. Okay, black is not having any weaknesses, but this pawn on c5 is a kind of weakness which might be troublesome for black in future. Okay, so maybe that's the reason he did not go for knight into e3. He played knight d4, and after this he played rook b7. This is the very important position because Nihal decided to give up the pawn on e2 square, and this is a positional decision. Well, he could have played something like rook e1 in this position, or the rook b2 also, just to support the pawn. But the fact is, like, by playing like this he will be passive, and he doesn't want to be passive because he saw this thing that if rook comes on the b7 square, he will be attacking the pawn on a7 plus the bishop on e7. Okay, the pawn on e2 will be lost, but black will lose significant amount of time in getting back the knight in the game, and in that meantime white will definitely get some compensation. So here king f8 was played in order to support the bishop on e7 square. He did not care about the pawn on e2. Still he can play rook e1, but he did not go for that thing. He played the simplest move, that is rook b1, doubling the rooks on the b file. Knight e2 check was given, king g2, knight came back. By doing like this, black has lost some time. Okay, but now the thing which I was talking about, he will get the compensation. He got it. He played a6. Now this rook on a8 is stuck to support the pawn on a7. The c5 pawn is always under pressure, so black needs to be careful. Now he played h6, rook c7, going for the c5 pawn, rook d c8. But no problem, we are just going to double our rooks on the 7th rank, and we know this thing that rook on the 7th rank is always a good thing for you. So small positional aspects are being covered by Nihal Sarin here. It shows how much matured player he has become. He captured here on c7, but now this rook is very passive. Black's pieces are passive now. Before some time, white's pieces were passive, and black did not take the advantage. Because, see, I'll tell you one thing. When you have this kind of advantage where you are leading in development of you, or your pieces are active, you have to act fast. This is called as the dynamic advantage. If you slow down in those kind of positions, then your opponent is going to take over the position, and he will be in the driving seat. So you have to act fast when the position is dynamic. Okay, knight b3 is played in order to support the pawn on c5, but okay, he still captured the pawn on c5. c5 captured, bishop capture c5. They led to bunch of exchanges, but still this king is not active. Still the rook is not active. Whenever you try to get this rook anywhere, the pawn on a7 will be falling. He played g5, an interesting move, rook c7, attacking the pawn. And one more thing I would like to tell you, that if let's suppose you play rook b8, then he will be very happy to play this thing. If you play any other move, I understand, like, you want to capture, but okay, we can just push the pawn. Here he can still attack the pawn, and okay, we can capture the pawn here, and here we have rook b7. Rook, if you play this move, this will be a mistake. Okay, why? I will show you. Because if you play this thing, then rook a5 will be played, and your rook on a8 will be stuck. So you need to understand where to put your rook. But here rook b7 is the simplest move. You are cutting off your opponent's king because rook is controlling whole file, and if opponent plays rook a5, then a7 will be played. Now there is a very great threat is there, rook b8 followed by a8 pawn queen, and black cannot really stop this thing, so white will be winning in that case. So this is something which I would like to tell you. So g5 was played, rook came on the 7th rank, king g7, getting away from all the checks and everything. He brought the king in the game, king f6. Now king e4 is played, h5, okay, fine. Then c5, g4, c6, king g6, and king e5. After playing like this, the king is going to come up, because even if you play rook d at any point, the rook d7 is coming, king is coming, and the pawn will be queening. Black's pawns are completely stopped, and he doesn't have any chance to create any counterplay. So it was a very smooth game. He missed in the end, and initially it was difficult for Nihal. So in the end, he got his rook on the 7th rank. He brought his king when it was needed. He pushed his pawn, and very methodically he won the game. So I hope that you enjoyed this instructive game played by our superstar Nihal Sarin, and our team will be going on great run now in the third day, So I hope that you will join me in the live stream also. So guys, see you there in the next video. Till that moment, take care, goodbye, and love you all.